All right, you might have seen this video once or twice. It is incredible. This Texas state representative speaking out for the first time since accusing Democrats of physically assaulting on a House floor simply because he noticed there were illegals in the Texas state chamber. And he had the nerve to say, you know what, if you're illegal, A, you shouldn't be here in the chamber, let alone the country. So I'm going to call ICE. And for that, he was getting death threats, a lot more. Texas State Representative Matt Rinaldi with us right now. Sir, very good to have you.
Well, thank you for having me, Neil. I appreciate it.
What happened exactly? I gave sort of like the quick overview there, but Texas had already passed this crackdown on sanctuary cities, this law signed by Governor Abbott, correct?
Correct, and it was one of the strongest in the nation, and I had a strong part in it, and basically it just keeps criminal aliens, murderers, rapists, child abusers, from being shielded from federal authorities.
All right, so this was a discussion on that, or they saw you come up to the lectern and then they just went nuts? So tell me what happened.
No, you know what it was? It was the last day of session. The law's already been signed into law, and they had a huge protest at the Capitol and had hundreds of protesters. So me as a lawmaker on the last day, I come in and I see many of them holding signs saying undocumented and here to stay and similar signs to that, basically admitting that they're breaking the law. That said, I go into the House chamber and the protest turned into a mob. They were breaking House rules. We had to shut down the House chamber. They were resisting law enforcement.
So they weren't targeting you at that time. It's the last day, the last formal session for the Texas legislature, and they're not happy with that law, essentially, right?
Correct. And in the House chamber, they're being unruly, they're chanting, they're jostling law enforcement. At that point, the Democratic representatives were encouraging the mob behavior. So I had called ICE. I remembered the signs when I came in, and I thought, you know, somebody's admitting to breaking the law. That's probably something that federal law enforcement would be interested in.
All right, when you say admitting to breaking the law, that these were illegals who were in that room and they had posters that said that, because some of your Democratic colleagues, sir, have said that was not the case.
No, it's the case, and there's pictures from a March protest when they had a very similar sign. Some of them brought them to this protest, and as I was walking in, we very clearly saw them. Other lawmakers saw them as well. They were also chanting in the gallery, you know, here, ho, ho, here to stay, which you don't say if you're obviously
all right, so if you called ICE on these illegals, did ICE come?
No, they didn't. It was a tip line, and it was just what I thought my duty was as a citizen, as a lawmaker, seeing someone admitting to breaking the law. But when my Democratic colleagues heard, and I told my Democratic colleagues that I did, that's when everything started to happen.
All right. So one of those is this Representative Pancho Navarez. I hope I got that right, a Democratic colleague. Now, you had said he had threatened you. Explain what happened.
Well, let me give you the timeline. So I called the galleries being cleared out. The Democratic representatives who were inciting the mob were bragging about how great it was what just happened, and I didn't think it was great at all. I saw one law enforcement officer get pulled down the stairs. I didn't think that was great. So I said, no, it's not great. In fact, I called ICE. And as soon as that happened, those representatives became part of the mob, and they swarmed me and pushed me. And as you saw from the video, I didn't do anything back.
All right, well, because he says, Representative, I just want to be clear here, that of you, he said, he's a liar and a hateful man. Got no use for him. God bless him. So I'm glad he added the God bless him. But what happened with this threat that he kind of knew where your car was? Because he argues he never said that.
Yeah, he said it during the jostling, and then when I retreated to my desk and sat down to get away from the situation, he reiterated to a few other people around me and then to me myself that he would get me on the way to my car, and I had to leave sometime.
All right, so and guys, we are going longer. Obviously, it's a huge story, as I'm sure you all know, so I want to continue going. Now, Representative, one of the things I was wondering about, this law that went into effect that caused this great dust-up and that Governor Abbott signed, what does it do? Because to hear some of the other side tell it, it's like heinous and racist, but as far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, it subjects law enforcement agencies to steep daily fines if they fail to cooperate with federal immigration guidelines. They go so far as to say, though, those who oppose you and were concerned about what you were doing, that it's bigoted in nature and it is a witch hunt and a crackdown on people who are simply trying to work and better their lives. You say what?
Now, the sanctuary city law allows 99% of the cities in Texas to continue operating the same way they have been. For those few cities that are harboring criminal aliens and shielding them from federal law enforcement and ignoring immigration detainer orders for those individuals, that's what the sanctuary city law prevents, like the city of Austin.
Okay, so let's say you're looking for rapists or murderers. They argue, no, that's not what it's about. They keep saying that. This is about targeting illegals, period. Is it?
Well, it is about targeting illegals, but it just so happens to be targeting illegals that are going through our criminal justice system. Does it have to be initiated under the guise of looking for a bad guy, a bad woman, or as Donald Trump would say, a bad hombre who's meaning harm? Or can you at any time in Texas now go into one of these cities where illegals are usually shielded and ask federal officials there or ask local officials there to honor the rules? You know, it is illegal for a state officer to stop somebody simply on suspicion of breaking the immigration law. We are talking about people who are in the criminal justice system on different crimes. And that's what this law talks about. Well, obviously, you've made yourself a target for a lot of these left-wing groups. I know you won in a district that Hillary Clinton won in, so it's a close fight. They're targeting you again. They say that you have cursed at people, threatened them, and they're ready to raise holy hell with you. What do you say? Well, I didn't do that, and there's been a lot of lies in the media about what actually happened. However, what I do know is that in the state of Texas, illegal immigration is the #1 issue in poll after poll, and I will continue to fight illegal immigration in the state of Texas as much as I can. All right, so just to be clear, and I'm sorry if I was just confused here, were you threatened? Was your life threatened? I believe it was, yes. By Representative Barres? Yes, with what we discussed earlier. All right, so when he came around and said you threatened him, did you? Well, what he said to me was, I will get you. You have to leave sometime. He reiterated to many people around me, and this was after everything calmed down, and he wanted to make specifically clear that he was going to get me. So I simply said, if you do, I'm armed, and I'll defend myself. Have you heard from the governor? No, I haven't. You think you should? He's busy. No, I don't. I don't expect to hear from the governor. I was just going to work one day and doing what I thought was right, and I'll continue to do that. You know, Nancy Pelosi's inserted herself into this whole new law in Texas, sir, by saying that it's cowardly. What do you say? I don't think it's cowardly to protect people from criminal aliens. I don't think Kate Steinle's family would think that's cowardly. I think it's our duty to keep people safe. And it's our duty to enforce our immigration laws. And the Democratic Party not only thinks we shouldn't endorse our immigration laws, but apparently thinks that anyone who thinks that we should enforce them should be met with violence. And I don't agree. Representative Rinaldi, thank you very much for taking the time. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it, Neil.